Better than your average. Better than your average.
So you background
Man, whatever.
you don't even know what I'm gonna say.
Your intro music rock.
Come on, man. You don't even know what I'm gonna say.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of How Did We Get Here? I'm your host, Jay Carter, and the man that has always heard and never ever seen Schemes.
What up?
AKA the background killer, AKA the Wizard of Oz, AKA Dr. Claw.
That be I.
He is I and I am him. I want to welcome you guys back to another show. Again, Better Than Your Average is the channel and the movement. How Did We Get Here is the show. We got two cousins that are like brothers that are talking any and everything in the process. How did we get here? And we got a sucker MC on the mic right now that we have told that he was the unofficial but official third host of the show. And he has talked noise to me via text, y'all. And you know, I try to keep it clean, but I had to hit him with the I think it was College Dropout with D. Ray Davis was playing Bernie Mac. And I was like, you know what? Use the nigga. And I don't mean that in a nice way like the little kids say. Without further ado, my brother from another mother, Kai Phoenix, welcome back to the show, my brother.
Almighty. Peace. Kings. You know, I like to say for the record, it's real messed up how you're like the unofficial third host and then you just keep me off for like 7 shows.
This dude is crazy, man. So
I got voted off the island. I got dropped out of college.
look, this man is writing. He's a father. He's a husband. He's doing all that. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, been dropping bars
One thing I'm not
on
doing
IG
is a 9
lately.
to 5.
Oh
I
yeah,
got time.
that's another good point. Okay, true indeed, Kai. You right. You got time. And Schemes also said you've been dropping bars. I was gonna bring that up as well. He has been dropping dropping bars
is what
lately.
I do with my boys because I can't use it on your platform. You have forced me to rap out my
Anyway, man, we gonna get into a few things, y'all. But again, y'all know how much we love this brother, man. It's all love. But man, we were talking Scheme, and I forget. I don't know if you watched it last. Did you see the Canelo fight?
No. Well, I saw the highlights of it.
Bruh, I was looking on the DAZN, cause I always just wait it to come on YouTube. Man, no. Well, me and Kai was talking about it. Well, I was looking at the comments on the YouTube page for DAZN, and Cass was like, the fight was so short that the highlights was the fight. You know what I'm saying? They just played the whole fight basically. They just basically.
Could you stop calling it a fight?
Kai said they basically flew in a punching bag. Because that's what it was.
A punching bag from Turkey. It's a Turkish punching bag, you know?
Well, you know, they got to keep the tune-ups because I think he's supposed to fight Charo next.
Is that Charles fight on the Bucks?
That's the one they kind of talking about. I kind of would prefer to see him fight
Let me tell you something.
Benavidez, but I think it's probably about 2 years too early for that fight.
No, he's not. He's not fighting either one of them. He's fighting. What's the white boy's name? God dang it! I hate when I go blank. He's fighting the guy he's about to fight next. Whew, that's gonna be a fight. I hate when I go blank, but I went blank. It's a white boy that's deserving of the shot.
Okay.
Let me tell you something, right, for the record, so you can remember I said it. You can throw in either one of the twins. He gonna beat them down.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
He's gonna beat them down. They talk a whole lot of noise, and I'm from Texas, so I definitely support them. You put them in front of Canelo, he's gonna beat them down.
Yep. I take my hat off to Canelo. His skill is at another.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's what I said. I think Benavidez in about 2 years is going to be that person that's going to beat him.
We'll see.
I think has the best chance because right now he's not seasoned enough. Plus he hasn't fully developed. Because
I'm like Canelo is like a full official.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know what he hydrated up to, but I think they weighed in at 167 or something like that.
Canelo looked like he
And
walked
his
in about
punches feel like
190.
I'm telling you, Benavidez, he may not catch him because I feel like he went up to light heavyweight and won the title.
Mm-hmm.
And now that he knows that he can do it, sooner or later he's going to get bored at that weight, and he's going to go up because he wants the full resume. I don't want to just conquer this weight class. I want multiple divisions.
Right.
I want to be Pacquiao. He's 8. You know, he's a 8 division champ.
Right. Yeah.
So he's going to get bored just sitting there, and he's in his prime right now. But he's like the Mexican fighter that decided not to fight like a Mexican fighter. He's a 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
As we always
And
talk
if
about.
anything, Triple G taught him, don't fight like a Mexican fighter, even if you wanted to. Don't.
Right. Indeed.
Well,
Yep.
I think it goes back to when he fought Floyd. He became a totally different fighter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he learned, man.
He was 20. He was like 21, and he fought the master of his generation,
Yep.
and he learned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This Turkish fighter wanted to fight him like a Mexican.
No go.
No.
Bad business.
Please don't stand in front of this man and let him throw body blows. Are you killing me?
I mean,
I'm surprised he lasted 2 rounds because they said 3 rounds. He didn't get to round 3. He gave
really
up at
did.
round 2.
Yeah, yeah. Well, really, Canelo. I mean, the boy is crisp. He can throw every punch in the book. He's fast. His defense. What I take my hat off to, his defense is gorgeous.
And that's
man.
what I'm saying. When he fought Floyd, he became he understand that
When he
Rock'em
fought Triple
Sock'em
G
Robot
and
gotta
Triple
go.
G was throwing them punches and he missed, and he was watching him miss.
Yeah, yeah. He definitely is.
Telling you, bro.
He's ascended to that other level of boxing. And I mean, he was throwing. I mean, like I was telling Kyle, was like, again, dude was a punching bag, and Canelo was just practicing every shot, uppercuts, body shots. I mean, and dude keeps like a super high guard, and Canelo would just touch, and then I mean, he split. When he knocked him down, he threw a split the guard with that beautiful 1-2 shot, and I was like, my God, boy. So hats off to Canelo.
Since we are somewhat on this conversation before we jump to the title, I want to get something off my chest.
Get it.
And put it out to the public
Okay.
really quick, okay?
All right.
I don't watch football anymore because I roll with Cap,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But I do hate Tom Brady. However, you can't take away nothing from the guy.
Right.
But I feel like even though I don't watch football, there's a lot of jumping out the window right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Tom Brady is one of the is the GOAT. And I'm like, the GOAT of what?
Right.
He's the greatest quarterback ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to talk about a football conversation if we're talking Lawrence Taylor and Barry Sanders and some other individuals. You know, that's a better discussion.
Mm-hmm.
But like GOAT athlete, let's not talk about anybody that's a GOAT at anything that does not have to play offense and defense. If you don't play both sides, then I don't think you should be in a conversation.
Okay.
And also, the greatest and purest sport there has ever been in the world, the most ancient of all sports, is fighting.
Boxing. Yeah. Fighting.
Boxing. It's just you, and your sport is trying not to get killed
Right.
in a very artful way.
Right.
If you could be and the greatest of all of those, even though it hasn't been ruling for years and years and years, is the heavyweight division. If you can do all of that, like be the heavyweight champion for years and dominate in the most purest and most important sport and never have your prime years, you are the GOAT. We got to stop all this talk. Muhammad Ali is the greatest of all time.
Okay.
Anybody else is second.
Okay. That's the Phoenix
I
rant,
gotta get that
y'all.
off my chest. I'm tired of all this Tom Brady's the GOAT.
Hey, I'm not. You ain't gonna catch no argument from me because I salute Tom, but I always, I'm one of the guys that always felt some type of way about a lot of the stuff that would come back about the Patriots and stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't rocked with Tom since the Tuck rule.
Yeah,
I've been mad since then. Just to show you how far back my hate goes.
Right.
I'll give it to Tom. Well, is he great? Yes. Are there a lot of factors that have kind of helped him win these championships, because it's been several years they've won championship, and Tom didn't really do anything great. He just didn't mess it up.
Right. Yep.
He's a computer, man. He's a person who has figured it out.
Yeah.
That's it. At the end of the day, he's just a person who has figured out the sport that he's in, and he can do it forever because he figured it out.
Right.
It's a weird feeling that nobody else knows.
Yeah.
He can go as long as his body allows him because he figured it out.
Well, not to mention the rules have changed. You can't really hit a quarterback anymore.
Well, yeah.
So I mean, technically you can play until you almost 50.
You can still hit, and if you're 40-something years old, you feeling that a little bit different. You just can't knock his brains around a little bit.
Well, you got to think, when they went back, you can't hit anything above the shoulder. That's a flag.
Tom ain't get, but that's the thing. Tom ain't getting hit anyway.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Then below the waist is a flag. So you basically like limited. It's like a batter's box in terms of what you can and can't hit.
Strike zone. Yeah.
And I mean, so the rules have changed, and like you said, he's mastered the rules like James Harden has with basketball, understanding what you can and can't do, and manipulating those rules to the best of your ability.
I don't really get mad at that because it's like, yeah, it's not my generation's type of football, but my generation's type of football players also had brain disorders that made them kill themselves.
Yeah.
So if they change the rules, they're just trying to protect people. It's why I don't want my son to play football, but I let him do martial arts.
Hey, speaking of, why you say that, we talked about this a couple of days ago, right? Have you been watching the contract baseball players been getting?
Man.
Nah, no offense, but baseball isn't.
Yeah, but we're talking.
I got my opinions about baseball. They do what they do.
Well, reason why we was talking about that, because there was a guy just a couple days ago. He got a contract for like 14 years, $340 million. And we've noticed when it comes to football, especially a certain position like running back and things like that, they devalue the position. They'll run you to death, but no one wants to pay you anymore.
Right.
So we was basically saying a lot of those baseball guys should, ingratiate themselves within the hood. And any kid that want to play running back, show them some of these baseball contracts and the amount of money, the generational wealth that you could make. Contrast to playing football, is playing in a backfield when they'll give you 400 carries but don't want to give you any real money. But they tell you you're dumb and doesn't.
The money is rare, and the sport is dying. Baseball is dying, and it hasn't upgraded itself. So their rules are not made for like young, dynamic, African American or American African athletes. You can't celebrate. You can't really be yourself. You better be clean cut. Before you get that money, they'll Yassine Puig your behind out of there.
Yeah, but that's part of what I'm saying in terms of ingratiating themselves.
That's something that baseball could do.
Yeah, before they die out, they need to reinvent themselves, and part of that reinvention is finding these great athletes and showing them something different. And as you're talking about football, we're getting CTE, and you getting these contracts that's non-guaranteed. Baseball are giving great contracts that's guaranteed money. So really, I think if both sides would kind of go to the table and look at and reimagine the possibilities, baseball could become something great, because our forefathers, were baseball advocates because of because of the talent that was out there. You had the fast, had the guys that had sprint, speed, and so on and so forth. We embody a lot of those things, so we can recreate baseball the same way like how Ice Cube has recreated basketball with the Big Three.
Yeah, but they're now. See, that's a good point. Somebody could invent like another league, but that audience is not getting younger, and it's not getting any browner in the United States. It's basically the Dominican League. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they pay attention, but nobody's paying attention to baseball, man.
Yeah, I think
that world, the hands that hold that world is not welcoming for us.
Yeah, I think like you said, for them, they can make whether it's I was even thinking baseball, soccer, different things like that cats usually don't play. The longevity of those sports is usually way longer. You know what I'm saying? And I remember Kyle was telling Skeens that I was in Germany. I never played sports like that, but I had a homie I used to play like a little sandlot baseball with. And I went him to his practice when he was one of those kids that played every freaking sport in the book. And I went to his baseball practice, and I was just out there hitting before everybody showed up. And the coaches, and I was hitting them, you know, over the fence, but they was pulling left. And the coach is like, man, I can teach you how to straighten that up, man. You be a dynamite baseball player. But he looked at me, he's like, but I bet you want to play basketball. I said, yep. You know, I'm short as mud, you know. He was a white dude. He's like, I bet you want to play basketball, though.
It sounds like it.
I was like, yes, sir. So, but I just think about, you know, me and Skeens used to always joke about some of those baseball, you know, for them to see cats 15, 20 years in the game is like, that's not too crazy in comparison to football and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Not to mention the AA, AAA years.
Right, that too. You know, I was thinking about that too the other day, man. Now I wanted to we're gonna touch a couple topics, Kai, but I was looking in one of I can't remember, it's a brother on YouTube, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews. You know, he's kind of part of what they call the red pill manosphere movement. But he posted a picture. And he was saying that there was Tennessee lawmakers propose a bill allowing biological father to stop an abortion. What do you think about that?
I always laugh at, you know, the Bible Belt, like being behind the times. And I'm an advocate for women's liberation.
Right.
However, I do believe if a man is in some sort of relationship with Kyron, go back downstairs. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
No, we
go
good.
back downstairs. Daddy's talking, okay? Daddy's talking right now. If he's in some sort of relationship and he actually wants to be a part of it and have a say-so, I think that if you help create the situation, then you should be allowed to have a say-so. Excuse me. Go downstairs, son.
Kyron used to having your undivided. He's like, man, this ain't part of this.
Good gracious. But yeah, I think that you should have somewhat of a say-so in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also, you know, it's also her body, man. It's a deep issue, and I think that there are certain issues in which the government should have their hands on, and then there's other situations that they should just leave it alone.
Yeah, I think it made me think back to, you know, it's a lot of comedians would talk about. I remember Corey Oakham had a joke where he was like, he took the chick to the clinic, and she got in the car, and he was playing 50 Cent. My gun go off, and she was like, I want to hear all that killing. He said, you the only killer in the car, you know, whatever. But and it made me think of what Dave Chappelle had said, where basically, if a woman aborts a baby, we champion it. But if a dad decides to leave, you know, a child or a relationship, then he's vilified. So
I disagree with that, though.
Why? How can you disagree with that?
Who champions abortion?
Really?
I think you're talking about more about the choice, not the act.
Yeah, they don't champion the action. They champion the choice.
Is championing the choice championing the action?
No.
Aren't those bedfellows?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, go further.
I got family members that are products of rape.
Okay.
It's a real touchy situation, right?
Right.
There's a lot of great that could come from that. But I think that what we have an issue is a history of people butting themselves in your business and not for what they feel is righteous. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
they don't know you. They don't know the issues that go involved with you. They just in the position to have power over you and decide things that champion your fate. And they exercise it not because they care, but because they can.
Okay.
And we as a people know what that feels like. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think that when it comes to issues like that, as well as other stuff that deals with with alternative lifestyles,
Okay.
if you're a religious person, you should be of the mind of, that don't involve me. That choice is yours, but that's between you and your creator, the decisions that you make.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to stop you from making your decision because that option is available to you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's moral or whatnot, that's something that you have to live with
Mm-hmm.
in your life. It does not affect me in any way. So I'm not trying to repress your ability to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope that you would see that maybe this could be okay if you give it a chance. But the option is available to you. The choice is available to you. Your decisions affect you and your universe. And that's what we champion.
Okay.
We've spent too many years with people saying you can't marry this person, no matter if you love. You know, the Bible said that birds, you know, bluebirds should be bluebirds and redbirds should be redbirds. So y'all two can't be together. People always find a way to justify their own oppression.
Right. Okay.
It's not about I support abortion. It's that I support your right to make a decision what happens with your own personal body, whether you were irresponsible or however that came about.
Right.
I don't want to take away your decision. I just hope that you make a better one. That's all. And at the end of the day, your decision does not affect my life.
Mm-hmm. So I think what I'm saying is where I'm counter to that in a sense. For the first thing that we talk about is if somebody is raped or what if there's something that's wrong, going to be medically wrong with the child or what have you, right? But
Right.
that actually encompasses such a small percentage of why people have abortions, though. For the most
I can
part,
understand.
and the people, and this is the anecdotal. Well, it's not really. I just don't have the data right now. But coming up around the way with certain homies, I got homies that just chicks was having abortions just because.
I got you.
Just
And I
be,
feel you.
just
I
be. It
know
was,
how
and
you
people
feel
bring
about-
up,
I know how you feel
the
about
other
children.
stuff.
I know how you feel about life.
You said what?
I said, and I'm with you. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
I had considered it myself
Right.
at one point being young.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I completely agree with you. Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Now, you know that your homeboys had homegirls do it, right?
And
For those
sure.
reasons.
Yeah.
How much does that affect your life right now?
It doesn't affect my life,
It
but
doesn't.
But the counter, if we because a part of this podcast and this show is that we're trying to be elevated people, and
True.
a part of us being elevated people, men and women, is that we aren't making choices to where we would say, hey, you know, because Skeens and I got a homeboy that had, I mean,
It affected my pocket.
well,
I'm gonna tell you that it affected my pocket several times.
you know what I'm saying? And I had a homie that Kai, just talking about the trivial reasons why some people do it. I had a homegirl. She was dating a homie of mine, and she made dude think that he had gotten her knocked up, but it was actually another cat, and then had him pay for it,
Right.
and not the other dude. You know what I'm saying? So it's the things like that where I think, of course, we're in a place where we always can make choice. And we want to, I think my idea is to say that let's take it all the way back to the beginning of the choices that we're making so we don't end up here. But also saying that I know that if I'm engaging in said act, that there is a possibility that a child could come from it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And making better decisions. So I think that we could go back and forth as far as do we champion abortion or do we champion the choice? In my mind, they right there together. They laying in the bed touching feet. You know what I'm saying? Whether we talking about the choice or the action. But again, I think that fathers should be able to have a say so in it, because again, and the reason I want, because I'm gonna say you're the resident feminist on this show. That's why I wanted to ask you specifically.
I wouldn't call myself a feminist, only because I'm still an alpha dude. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think if you take on that, if I were to take on that title, some of my views would let people down.
You think so?
I am a proponent for liberation. Let's just say that. And I want women to be liberated as much as I am. So if we're talking about the push to get rid of abortion, how come there's not a push to bring more awareness about vasectomies? We don't do a lot of talking about vasectomies. We don't talk about vasectomies at all, because dudes is like, man, I'm not snipping nothing.
Right.
we can always talk tough towards women, as long as it don't affect us.
I can give you that.
There's other ways of seeing it, but at the end of the day, I think that the mindset is that at the end of the day, you can be proponent and try to change culture and people, but ultimately the only way you can do that is with your own personal universe. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
You hope that people can make better decisions, but none of that stuff actually affects my life. I have a worldview, but the older I get, the more I concentrate on the things that are actually like I could change and bring more awareness stuff. Yes, he should have his say because he took part in that. That's the discussion they need to make.
Right.
I don't think that the government should have their hands too much in women's physical issues.
Okay.
It's just a whole bunch of old white guys telling women what they could do.
I'm gonna place devil's advocate on
I love that.
in the response of this, right? I'm for free choice as well within with the confounds of one. It's kind of two-part. One, we was talking about the father should have say so, but as I think Dave Chappelle was saying, if you wish to have the child and he doesn't, should he be obligated to remain a part of it? That's part one.
Yep.
And part two is this, right? You having kids, yes, it shouldn't be a part of my day-to-day and part of my life. But when we get to a point that you can't afford the children that you continue to have, should we now get to a point of limiting how many more you can have until you're able to take care of the ones that you continue to put out?
That's another conversation.
Like China? You mean like China?
Yeah, that's yeah.
What I'm saying is, if say for instance, if you're on the system, hey, I understand there's reason for everyone to be on there at one point in time. But if you are on the system, you're not making any strives to better yourself. I think the whole thing should be changed in terms of why you're on the system. There should be programs to help people, not just having the woman be by herself. I think it should be the family in general. If you're on the system, helping maintain that family and help figure out a way to help you all put yourself in a better position that you don't no longer need the system.
Okay.
But the way the system is structured right now, that they're saying that the woman can she the only one that can live in a household on the system. He can't be there. But if we continue, if you can't, you can. I don't think if you're on there, you should not be able to continue to have kids while you're on the system, because it is affecting everyone's pocket that's paying into this. Now, once you can afford your own, do your thing, and if you don't like that, pay your own bills. And I don't mean to say it in a harsh way, but we gotta find a way to create some form of accountability. But while you're on the system, we gotta find a way to help these people not make this a lifestyle. This should be a stopgap to bigger and better things, not the end all be all.
I feel like, see, my motive for the conversation, let's call me the resident militant in the group.
For sure.
It's a very slippery slope. Once you start letting government, and this government in particular, start getting into your personal life like this, because our government specifically has a very long rap sheet of a history of secret sterilizations of black and brown people that
Absolutely.
a lot of people have no common knowledge of. They was doing it up as far as the 60s and 70s. Our own government was doing a whole bunch of sterilizations. And as far as welfare, they damaged us with welfare as well. And they tell us, you know, these welfare people are really messing up our taxes and stuff like that. But when you look at the analytics of that, it's like a super small percentage. But they play it for their own personal agenda.
Right.
Yeah. And not to mention we're the minority on the system as well.
Yeah, the only reason that abortion has always existed, the only reason that abortion is a big deal right now is because it's part of their agenda. They could care less, and abortions will always happen, whether you try to make them illegal or not. In the 40s and 50s, they were using hangers and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not something you're going to take away. It's just the culture and giving people the resources to be able to flourish, to have more children, so they don't feel like I can't afford this situation. Because when you're poor in a house, what else is there to do but have sex?
Yeah. Well, and that's more the reason why I'm saying
babies are going to come. Babies are going to come.
and that's why I say why the family, the person, it should be the family. Like I said, not just the mother living there by herself. If they can maintain that family, the mother-father dynamic, it should be there, whether you're on the system or not. But there should be programs that help them become better, to get off of it. Like if we need education, let's come up with that. We need child care programs while they're on the system. That way they can go get education.
Child care and jobs.
Yes. So why? And that's why I say it needs to be a stopgap. So we need to figure out a way while you're on there. What do we need to do to help you get off there? Whether your family need couple therapy to make sure y'all stay solid.
So shouldn't the focus not be on abortion, but on economic? Like, shouldn't we focus our resources, our money,
and that's what I'm
on
saying.
economic to? But the problem is, this is a class system. We need a bottom class to blame stuff on and keep things functioning.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? That's why we big up abortion, so we can demonize a certain class in order for people to vote a certain way, and we keep the system rolling.
Yeah.
They're not actually trying to solve the issue. They just make it the scarlet letter in order to get you to vote a certain way, always.
Yep.
And we keep the system rolling.
Yep.
If they really wanted to help us, they would.
Switching gears real quick, before we get all the way into the topic, you see your boy Obama, his story about punching the dude in the face.
Yeah, I saw that.
I've seen some place where they said they thought it was a cap. What do you think? You think Obama capping? You think he really stole on the dude? Or?
No, I'm pretty sure he did, seeing as where he lived, and Obama was always the resident black guy. So sometimes you got to establish, hey, I'm not that kind of black guy. Like, you could say certain things, but after a while, like, hey, you're tripping. I can see Obama doing that. I think that the bigger controversy within that podcast is he said that black people deserve reparations, and
we was going there next.
He was on his bacon like, you was president for 8 years. You never said a peep about that.
Yeah, Skeens was he was primed and ready for that piece of it. But no, I saw on the Brilliant Idiot, shout out to Andrew Schultz and Charlemagne, but Schultz was saying that as calculated as Obama is and different things, he said, I think he's a cap. I don't think he really stole on somebody. I think, he's bringing it up at an opportune time. And at first Charlemagne was like, I don't think so. Then he's like, man, you know what? I think he capped it too. I don't think he really did it. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah.
I think he did it. I think he wouldn't have done it in high school, but in college, yeah, I think he knocked somebody out.
So I don't know if you on the reparations piece, man. I've been looking at a brother for a while named Antonio Moore. He's kind of the one of the big guys that started, him and this young lady named Yvette Carnell started this ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery movement.
Okay. Are you, before we get into that, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Are you into that? Be very, very careful And I'm gonna tell you this as a person that knows a little bit.
Yep.
Be very, very careful of ADOS.
Yeah,
It's not what you think it is. Be careful.
well, this is what I'll say, Kai. You know me, I'm kind of a guy that looks at a lot of things, and I eat the meat and spit out the bones. You know what I'm saying, so to
Right.
speak. So Antonio Moore, Skeens and I started looking at him because he used to fool with Zoe Williams, that fools with Corey Holcomb, and
Yeah.
he was on top of his game as far as the numbers of the economics of black people. That's kind of what I looked to him for. Then this ADOS movement started, and he helped Ice Cube in some ways with the contract for Black America. So
Yeah, and I was disappointed with his involvement in that as well.
yeah, so he recently had Ice Cube back on his show. I didn't look at everything, but I mean, what do you think about this whole ADOS movement though?
I
And
think
foundational
people-
Black Americans and all that stuff.
I think that their hook is reparations,
Uh
because all black people are going to go, yeah, that's right.
huh. Uh huh.
They're not going to pay attention to the details.
Okay.
I think that their hook is reparations. And if you want to argue on a pure standpoint that Africans built this country and continue to build this country and its culture and should be repaid for their debts and being in bondage, you're absolutely right.
Right.
When they're trying to discriminate against immigrants, when they're trying to put a cutoff to who can get what,
Right.
and then they're telling you, you might as well vote for Trump, and we're trying to get people to vote for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
There's some shadowy things going on there, and I think that people should always do the knowledge of something, an ideology, before they choose to involve themselves in it. The reparations is a good hook, but I think that once they start seeing the actions and the thoughts of ADOS, they'll realize, hey, these people are not really on our team.
Right. Okay.
They're not really on our team.
Did you
They've got
see?
a great hook, and you should watch them.
Did you see your boy Herschel Walker talking?
Yeah, but
About what?
but that's been Herschel for years. That's Herschel, man.
I asked my mother, should we get reparations? And she said, no, we should not. We should. I was like, where did he get this?
Bruh. And
But most people, they don't even know who Herschel is.
but that's part of the issue that I found that really kind of pissed me off. They brung Herschel Walker to speak in terms of Congress about reparation. What has Herschel
Right.
contributed
Right.
into the in any aspect? We didn't have Sandy Darity.
Yep.
We didn't have my man with Powernomics.
Right.
Claude Anderson.
Claude Anderson.
We didn't
Well,
have
and
any.
boy, they'd be scared of him.
Oh man, come on, man.
They didn't have anyone who's really tangible who does data that has an understanding of the need and the psychological effects and different things. They brought Herschel Walker.
Right.
It's not about that.
No.
It's about
Now this same dude also, you can always reach your own thing, but he's had some other issue with his wives and other things going
Right.
on and so on and so forth. But for you to then try to spew a Bible verse
Yeah,
to
he
tell
did. Yeah.
us why there's no reparation should not be retrieved. So basically, you telling me that if someone killed your any member of your family, you should turn the other cheek. You should not be
look.
angered at all. If someone sleeps with your wife, you should not be angered. You say, okay, cool, dap him up. Need anything? Drink some water, whatever, and keep it going.
Right.
Stop it, Herschel.
man. Look, it's the ultimate hook,
Yeah.
and a lot of terrible things throughout history have been done in the name of whatever living God that people choose to choose.
Yep. Throughout
The
history.
whole
Yeah.
point was not for him to be an expert. The point was for him to be a strong alpha black presence to
Yep.
speak against.
Against,
Yep.
yes.
It's all agenda.
Yep.
And if you look at it, a lot of when we go back talking about voting, the stick in terms of getting us to really go out and vote was they started talking about reparation. The HR 40, and
Yep.
then people talk about, hey, we're gonna get reparation. You start seeing different politicians talking about reparation, which in terms almost like how you talking about ADOS got us revved up We didn't look at the devil's in the detail. We cared nothing about the details. We heard reparations.
That's all we heard. Yeah.
So they got us out there voting and different things and so on and so forth. But then you start slowly hearing these politicians start telling us they don't believe in reparations.
You're right.
You heard Obama say he didn't believe in reparations.
Yeah.
You said, "Oh, we can't. That's not American because for us not to do if all of America does not get something for it, we can't do it." You heard Kamala say the same thing. You think I'm just do something for black people? No. You heard even as much as I love Bernie Sanders, you heard Bernie was kind of against reparations. So and you heard Biden. So you heard all these people after they talked us into getting out there and voting for them. Now after they got the vote, no, everyone's talking about reparations. I mean, now they're shunning reparations, but they kept us revved up. Oh, we'll get to it later, but we gotta get 45 out of here. We gotta get him out. You pushed aside Ice Cube talk of the contract with Black America. That was a form of reparation. They've already told you per Biden, Obama, Kamala, so on and so forth, totally that they don't believe in reparations. So why did we think that they was going to even listen to Ice Cube? So now that we got these people in office, the first thing they're doing, they now roll a black man they had him and Larry Elders. They roll out two black men that they know who are opposed to reparations as your first speakers to basically kind of get us to realize it's not coming. So now our thing is knowing that it's not coming. Why do we continue to vote for these same people?
My thing is this, and I think that personally, I feel like black people need to end this chapter. Okay,
Yep.
In my personal opinion, first of all, reparations is never happening.
Absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
like we gotta get over that.
Right.
Yep.
It's never happening. It should happen, but my thing is also this: what we get mad about, we're not truly mad.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Say
because
more.
I think that we're too scared to be mad. Completely. We'll be mad enough to say, why are we voting for all of these Democrats when they be lying and stuff like that? When we forget, when we're talking about the subject of reparations, America gave reparations to every country that we fought a war against.
Yes.
Nazi Germany.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Japan.
Broke the
We
Japanese
did
off.
wars to Native American tribes.
Yes.
They have literally given reparations
Everyone.
to everybody that they've ever been in conflict with or did wrong except for one group of people.
Yeah.
The very people who built the place are the ones confused.
Yep.
If we are truly intact with ourselves, we should understand, we should look at America in a very extreme stance. America is telling you how they feel about you. But we don't want to go there. We don't want to be that mad. You don't want to say F America. So if we're not going to be all the way mad, then don't be mad.
Yeah.
There's other things to vote on. There's, you know what I'm saying? There's other subjects. As far as this subject, you're never going to get it.
Yeah.
We can get on and vote over other issues.
Yes, sir. And
But if you're going to be mad about, we're not getting reparations, then you got to be truly mad. Look at the history. They're telling you how they feel about you.
Never gonna get it. Never gonna get it. Never gonna get it.
brother.
Never.
but you know what? That goes into the
They're
topic.
mad. They're mad at Obama and they're mad at Bernie Sanders for not wanting to do it. Who's ever tried to do it for you? What presidential candidate or winner has ever tried to has ever entertained reparations? So what you mad at them for?
No.
Right.
Keep moving.
Yep.
Keep moving.
Yep. And
Because if you get mad enough and realize that the system doesn't work for you and choose not to vote, they're going to be on your butt for not voting. You can't win.
Yeah. Well,
that's a perfect segue Skeens, into
and that basically goes into the topic. Us knowing that reparations is not coming. We focus on the things that we have not gotten over the 400 years. How about we start focusing on our future? Like we have Black History Month.
right.
We talk about history.
Closing it out.
How about we start talking about Black future? Because part of Black History Month, we always watch Roots. And the question that we talked about, has Roots been more beneficial or damaging to the black community?
Say more.
Because we watch Roots every year, and we think back, and we you talk about your relative, your heritage, and different things, but really subconsciously Roots is part of suppressing your beliefs that you're anything other than a slave. Then we come to find out that it wasn't even written by the guy we thought wrote it. It was written by a white guy. So that further goes to the point of, hey, this is really about suppressing us. And we, and end of the day, you're still going to be a second class citizen. Every time I watch Roots, it still tells me that we're 3/5 of a human. It doesn't it doesn't bring me joy. It doesn't make me want to go do better. It angers you, and it tells you that end of the day, as you said, the system is telling us how they feel about us.
And I think,
Okay.
Kai, I was gonna. I'm throwing it right back to you, man. But you kind of were touching on it. But if you could go just a little deeper, Kai, how do you think that we can kind of get out of this? We've been in like the political doldrums as black folks for years, man. How do we move out of this?
Well, first I want to have some pushback on the Roots thing.
Oh, okay, go
I
ahead.
think
Push away.
We're showing our age a little bit on the Roots thing. I don't think anybody's watching Roots.
Well, I mean, now is not, but the kids now. But how ever since we was
back in
kids,
the day. Okay.
yeah, they
When you look at Roots, the reason Roots was important was like when it came out in the 70s, it was like a huge event. And it was a huge event because they were making a series, primetime, publicly acknowledging America's sin. They had never done it before. That's why it was such a huge event, is because predominantly black cast, black dynamic actors that everybody knew, strong actors, that were telling a story that started off in Africa. Another thing we never talked about, because as far as we knew, our history started at slavery.
Yep.
And then it shows it had demonized white people within America. In America, we're coming out of the 50s and the 60s. We're not in tune to do that. So it was a huge cultural event that happened. It was their version of Black Panther.
yeah, but
That's why it was such a big deal. Now to watch it now is a different feeling because we're in a different point. But how is that any different than when they see us? The 13th Amendment. And all
12
these other
years,
movies
12 years a slave, Amistad.
Yeah, that are,
on
that
and
are
on and
very,
on.
very dynamic, but it gives us the same. It gives us the same feelings.
Yep.
yeah,
It's nothing really different. It's just a different moment, a different perspective.
but they don't play.
I don't hate against Roots because for the time it came out, it did its job. It had white people going, "Oh my goodness, I never knew." It's the same thing with the Black Lives Matter. Like right now, people are like, "Oh my goodness, I didn't know that this was happening." And you're like, "Dude, you don't listen to our music."
Well, I don't. When it comes to Roots, I don't know if I say white people didn't know, or because like I said, it's the lens which you look at Roots. Because you can say that, hey, they're demonizing them, showing them the different things they do, but also they also telling some of those people, depending on how you look at it, hey, we are the dominant. So
See,
I
personally. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it's just the lens of which you look. You know how they say two people can read a Bible scripture.
True.
Or even like
Two
this,
people see a fight a different way.
yeah, even the same way how they
personally
use.
love Roots because not only did it tell an American story, not only did it put dynamic people out there and gave us representation and gave us voice, but also showed you that we weren't monolithic. It showed you the effects of slavery and effects, how a person that didn't come from colonization reacts to colonization, and somebody like Fiddler, who was already been colonized, how he didn't understand who Kuta, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It showed you Chicken George and all of these different types of people, different types of black people, different reactions, different actions. It made us not just fit into a certain puzzle, and it brought acknowledging. Now, when you turn on your TV right now, I don't know if y'all watch a lot of TV, but there's a black lead on every commercial. It's either black female or black male. It's weird,
Yeah.
but it's every commercial because the biggest thing has been
Us.
the push for representation.
Yep.
Well,
There could not have been anything like that until Roots.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? And then American Justice.
I think a lot of it is now is, yeah, a lot of places, a lot of entities use black people because they know that we push culture.
Yeah,
Everything
that's-
culturally-
and, you know, based,
but we
based
have-
on the time.
Yeah, but we have
based
no
on the time,
ownership.
Their hands have been forced.
Well, yeah,
their
but-
hands have been forced.
Well, everything that, you know, I know as long as I've been, even as a teenager, everything that was ever cool was because of us. So
Well,
whether
yeah.
directly or
We-
indirectly, if we liked it, everyone else liked it. And so now, yeah, we're in the forefront because we have representation, but that representation means nothing when none of those dollars come back to our community. So the question is, how going forward, what do we need to do? Because we're not getting reparations. We can get it. We can throw that off the books.
Pack it up.
So
What do
are
we
we
do?
talking about? Are we talking about Black history, or are we talking about the future of Black people?
Going forward, as we transition from the Black history, moving forward to Black future, like every Black History Month, we should find different things within our community to start championing going forward. Because a lot of things that we never knew about, we didn't know about the different ways of making money. We never knew about laws or different dope people that's out there. We built a lot of different things that we never knew. The schools in Black History, one, it's always a backhand compliment by giving us the shortest month of the year. But the school didn't really teach us anything Black history related.
Right. Outside of Martin Luther King, really.
Yeah,
Little
that's the only thing we got.
Little Frederick Douglass.
We got Frederick Douglass.
George Washington Carver.
Yeah, talk about the peanut. We
George
got
Carver.
I Had a Journey, but we never really dove into anything particular about us. So I
Okay.
think.
So-
Yeah, go ahead.
Here I am with that. Okay. I personally feel like there is a lot of great work being done right now. There's a lot of great people out there, and the groundwork is being laid. I don't think that we can necessarily say that, complain about it now. Like, a lot is happening at the present moment, but everything that you're saying has to be grounded in Black history. Now, I speak about this from a privileged position.
Okay.
And what I mean by privileged is my father was militant minded.
Mhm.
So he was drilling things in me and my siblings. You know, by the time I was 7, you had to know a lot of Black history, speak some Swahili. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Gotcha.
This stuff was being ingrained in me, so I was raised a little differently than everybody else.
Indeed.
Black history is like self-esteem.
Okay.
The root word in self-esteem
Self.
is self. Self-esteem is your own responsibility. And our problem is we have been complaining about people who colonized us to teach us our history. Power does not concede to the powerless.
There you
Why
go.
would I teach you that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, if the shoe was on the other foot,
Would you do
What
it?
you do?
and Black people are in charge and we colonize white people,
Yep.
are we going to teach them a history that is based on how we treated them?
Nope.
Well, and that goes to what I'm saying.
No way.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
It is-
In terms of us, we need to start internally. That's what I'm saying. Future wise, yes, the way that you were taught, we need to make that the norm. That's what I'm saying. Not just a
Exactly.
month. If we can convert Black History Month to Black Future, but every day needs to be that kind of teaching about our history.
True.
Don't wait
See,
till
that-
this month
that's
to
our
do it.
failure.
So now when we
That-
have Black History Month, February, we should be Black empowerment. Everything this month should be buy everything Black. I don't do anything but buy Black. I spend money with my people. We look for different businesses within our community to highlight, or different people, or whatever it is, the any rules, any laws that's been changed that affects us. We need to do those things. Make February that month to highlight and
But see,
educate.
that's what I'm saying is I see a lot of that.
Okay.
I see a lot of that going on nowadays. But I think we need to go ahead and let that. I appreciate Black History Month because somebody at some point was trying to acknowledge Black existence in the country of America. And I appreciate that. From that point on, I don't really care about anything that has to do with Black History Month. Black history is our personal responsibility. White people did not fail us. We failed us. We failed us. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It is our own personal responsibility to understand where we come from. But not only that, it is our own personal responsibility to find a way to relate to Africa. I was in class the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and usually I'm the only black guy in my class in college, but you know, I refer to myself as African always.
Mm-hmm.
The American should be assumed. If a white guy comes up and says I'm Italian, I don't go, you mean American? No,
Right.
the American's assumed.
Yep. There you go.
He's telling me his heritage.
Yep.
So I refer to myself as African. When I did that, all the black people made a screw face.
Okay.
They don't associate themselves with Africa because they don't know.
Yeah. They have no connection with it.
They don't associate with anything before.
Yeah.
Until we could relate
Mm-hmm.
or try to find a relation to African culture, we have no roots. Our roots started in slavery.
Yep.
Of course, America, everything black is American culture based on how we were created and how we reacted to it literally is.
Mm-hmm.
Southern culture is race related, history wise, and right now. That's American culture.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the culture, music, film, influence, style, comes on basically how we reacted to that.
Right.
So black culture is American culture, but it is our job to teach black history. And if we don't do that, it's not the people who are in charge failing. It's not their job. Power doesn't concede to the powerless.
Yep. That goes into.
They're not going to teach us our own history.
Yeah.
That's our job.
Yeah, it's like they say the I don't know exactly how to quote what the quote is, but it's basically like the winners of the war get the right to history.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? However that quote
The
is.
victor goes to sport.
History is written by the winners.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but that's what I'm saying. I'm not focusing on anyone other than us when I make these statements.
Right.
What do we need to do?
Right.
Like, for example, how would you all feel about, we have certain cities like Flint and Detroit and other cities that's downtrodden.
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel about if we said, you know what, we would go buy the city and make that city self-sufficient with us? We have all that we need internally. No one's there.
Yeah, but black people have our Achilles heel is unity.
And this,
Oh, yeah.
and this is part of what I'm saying. Different us, it starts internally.
Yeah.
So what the things that we need to do to get us to that point? Because, as I said, we own nothing. So we're more willing to go spend money with other people than with each other. So we do have to break that trend. But part of breaking that trend is somebody got to start taking a step further, the first steps towards.
You know what happened? What happened was, as the years went on since the civil rights movement, there has been a shift in the class system as far as black people goes.
Yeah. Go
When you
further.
look back to the civil rights and revolutionary times in the 70s, we were all in the same position.
Yep.
We're all in the same condition.
Yep.
It's easy to unite when everybody's in the same condition.
I can
When
identify.
people start being in different conditions, I don't relate to you, bro.
Yep, I can't identify with that, man.
But that's
I
part.
can't identify with what you're going through. I don't relate to you.
Yep.
As generations go on, I've been raised in a different. I don't relate to you. We're splintered. We're splintered. We don't know. We don't recognize our history past slavery. We don't recognize our history past the 90s. Really, and each generation is as they go along. Unfortunately, even though here's the great polarization of future generations. They have access to all information in human history, and they don't want to look it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're becoming more and more fragmented. As you talk about back then, we were the doers.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing all the different skills that we once had. We've pushed those to the side, or we've been tricked into not thinking that we don't need those skills anymore. We want to look the part. We want to look like this. But we built a lot of we had a lot of handmade skills, or a lot of not just handmade, a lot of knowledge of how to be creative to unify and keep dollars internally. Now, as much as access as we have to the internet, no one's it's hard to even see two people actually speak to each other that don't even know each other. But we know everything that we see and know everything. But two of us, it's rare to see two of us speak to each other without somebody. You see somebody frowning up.
Well, like Kai is talking about, man. In our community, Kai, and I'm not sure where you are exactly in San Antonio. In Fort Hood area, as black folks, sometimes we get pacified by this middle class life that we live here. You know what I'm saying? As you talking about the classism, I
know exactly what you're saying.
I was at church. You know, we have a food drive that we do once a month, and I was helping out. This was several months ago, you know, before COVID and stuff. But so I was standing in the back of a truck or outside about to pick something up or whatever, and I looked at one of my homeboys. It was a guy there that was here he had just moved from Jamaica, and it was me. And then I happened to look across the way at all the brothers that were over there inside of another truck, and every black man over there was 20 years retired military and had a second job, you know, working another job after that. So there's a level, like you say, Kai, where sometimes we become disassociated socially, socioeconomically, because I'm able to live a certain lifestyle now that it's hard for me to identify with that over there, because I can, you know, I'm driving nice, I'm living, you know, nice. You know, I can, you know, Kai, you know, we live a lifestyle where when your wife say you want to go get something to eat from somewhere, it's not even really like a second thought at all. Or what you want, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And a part of that is, like you said, is what puts us in a place is that we become fractured and fragmented as far as unity, man. And one thing, I got a homegirl that's from, they're like from Guam. And I always take my hat off to them, Kai, because they fight hard to stay connected to their culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They still do the cultural dancing, and they wear the cultural garb, and they get together and still do that stuff. My mother-in-law, who's Korean, you know, she stays locked in. She's watching Korean soap operas, and she still has a little table. She sits there with her friends, and she wore a whole Korean garb when me and my wife got married. So, like you're saying, Kai, a part of all of this that we're talking about, to put a cap on it, is that we, again, can't rely on anybody else outside of our community and what Skeens is talking about to show us our history and show us the route that we need to take. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to teach it to us.
You know, right now,
it is our responsibility and our biggest challenge.
Yeah.
To understand the concept of us.
Yep.
We need to understand that we're actually the extreme. Everybody else is normal.
Right.
The way that we think is extreme. When I say us, and I mean us, we're the rarity.
Yeah.
I made somebody laugh the other day because I said, you know, I know some people that are poor that don't feel like they're poor because they have cell phones.
Right.
And
Exactly.
And I'm being dead
That's
serious.
real. That's real.
You don't understand. They're connected to everything they want to be connected with because they have a cell phone. And they could live simultaneously through other people's lives psychologically.
Yeah, that's real.
They don't even recognize that they're poor. They have a cell phone.
Yeah.
And you know, you talk about
if you can't see that you're poor, then you don't want to achieve more.
Right. Yeah. And you say the cell phone. I say a lot of cats too, and Kai. And it's funny how stuff like that can trick your mind. You know what I'm saying? Because
it's very easy. It's easy.
It's the cell phone. It's everybody has a flat smart TV in their house now. So these little things like that say, "Hey man, I'm doing all right."
But the truth of the matter is, this is the first time.
You think about how easy it is to tell a memory that happened to somebody else.
Right.
And if you tell that memory sooner it's going to be you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I forget, did this actually happen to this person or did it happen to me?
Yeah.
Now imagine a person that's actually poor, but I'm creating the image that I'm not on Instagram through my photos and whatnot. And after a while, I start living in that world.
You do.
Just like that.
Yeah.
I don't feel poor. And that's not the image I push out.
Yeah. Yeah. What was you going to say, Skeen?
This is the first time in history that as we talk about classism, the top 1% has doubled the middle class.
I didn't know that.
Think about that.
Yeah.
So as we talk about classism and different things, what we have and don't have, The top 1% has now doubled the middle class.
Wow.
But but within our community, we've been tricked. As you talking about your Guamanian friend and your mother-in-law, and I tell people I love like Hispanic people because they believe in unity. Mm-hmm. The thing that we've been tricked into believing it's about you.
Right. Yeah.
We get too much you. As you know, even when you play sports, they tell you there's no I in team.
Right.
The trick is we've been lied to believe that the I is real.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. And a lot of it.
I would actually say the opposite. I would say the difference between Jeff Bezos and me, besides the obvious,
right,
is how many times. Okay, let's say Jay.
Yep.
The difference between Jeff Bezos and you is how concerned are you with racism, abortion, and all these other issues.
Right.
And how concerned is he?
Right. Okay. I get. Yeah. Okay.
He doesn't care about any of that stuff.
Yep.
He's not
singular-minded. Yeah.
By any of that.
Yep.
And the people who are in charge can continue to keep us distracted by talking about transgenders, racism, gay issues, women's, and we're sitting here fighting, talking about all of this stuff like that. Now, when you look at what they're doing with their money, none of these political actors really care about any of that stuff. At the end of the day, it's about that green and how they can restrict you in the places or in your ability to make that green. Black people are not doing the type of jobs that our parents used to do because somebody came along and showed us some different ways. Somebody's tuned us into about entrepreneurship. That's the stuff that they don't teach you. You know what I'm saying? They need you to continue to be blue collar so we can keep these factories and stuff going and there can be a middle class and keep this world going. I don't need you to become a millionaire by entrepreneurship.
But you think that entrepreneur spirit is how we got Black Wall Street and other places.
And that's hip hop.
Yeah. Yeah.
We started off as nothing, and then some Russell Simmons and Puff Daddies and Percy Millers and stuff said you could start a clothing line, you could start a record label, you could do this, and now that's what everybody wants to do because that's how we see it's our way in.
Right. Yeah.
So now we don't want to take trades no more because we've just shown a different way into the window. Our issue is that we don't recognize that it's all class, and we don't identify as us, and we have no history.
Yep.
And the only thing we could do to make that better is to teach our children their history. If they're biracial, teach them both. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they can identify where they came from and then push on to the future so you don't forget. Everything comes down to your world at the end of the day. We want to do so much, but all you can do is change yourself, and that will change everybody that's watching you.
Indeed. So yeah, I think that's the key is that what we're doing here is showing that it's got to start. If you're of the mind frame, and again, we discuss these topics, and you know we're deep thinking men, and you know all this stuff is but at the end of the day, the change that we want to see, you got to see it in yourself. You know, you can't sit on the sideline and wait for some government official, as my boy Kyle always called wait for a political actor to give you what you need. You know what I'm saying? Or to, again, give you reparations. Like, unless I get it that way, we have to do it within ourselves. That's where it's going to come from at the end of the day, and to close all this stuff out, man. But, you brought something to my mind, man. I forgot that you like a whole college student right now. How is that going for you, brother?
It's going pretty good, man.
That's good, man. So what class are you taking right now?
Believe it or not, I'm an English major, and I'm taking a whole bunch right now.
Okay.
I'm taking 2 different English classes, a history class and math class.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I did college only to see if I could do it. I was always scared of college because I think that academically I'm stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I thought that for years. I was like, why go to college when I was going to waste my money?
Right.
I realized that there was some part of me that was intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
And some part of me that was super elevated. And the best thing that ever happened to me was self-education.
Mm-hmm.
When I was actually reading books or researching stuff because I wanted to and not because a paper was due, By the time I did say, I think I'm going to try and do college, man, this stuff is easy
Right. Yeah.
because I had been doing the work self-educating.
Right.
That's the
Indeed.
that's one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Well, you know what? As this is the last day of Black History Month, and you again are the resident Black History historian.
Yep.
Give us to close us out. Give us the little known. You were supposed to do this for me on another episode, and I forgot to charge you up for that. You were supposed to give me some books, but you never did it. I was going to leave it in the description of one of the episodes. Matter of fact, you forgot about that. Anyway, he's silent. You see, he's
My
never
bad.
quiet, guys. You see that? He's never quiet.
I'm listening, sir. I'm listening to you, sir.
So, Kai, give us a figure that, you know, a little known figure, you know, that most don't talk about, that we should be, you know, that we should be studying and checking out.
Okay. There's a brother named George Jackson.
Okay.
George Jackson was a revolutionary and a Black Panther,
Mm-hmm.
and he was an eloquent writer,
Mm-hmm.
but he was a very harsh man, and he came from a harsh environment.
Wait, hold on. Sound like you got farther away or something.
Oh, I'm sorry. But the police set him up on some petty robbery, and his jail sentence was 1 year to life.
1 year to life?
1 year to life, which means you get 1 year. But if you mess up in jail, guess what you get?
Life.
See how that works?
Wow.
In jail, he became the intellectual defensive part of the Black Panther. He wrote several books, including Soledad Brothers and Blood in My Eye. He also started a group called the Black Guerrillas.
Mm-hmm.
If you're familiar with jail culture, you understand what a Black Guerrilla family is.
Yes, sir.
Okay, he was one of the co-founders of that. He had a very tragic life, especially how he ended, but man, was he brilliant.
Wow.
And the way that he expresses himself, it's I think we should understand how people of the 70s thought about their condition.
Mm-hmm.
It was urgent. The people of the 60s and 70s didn't complain about their condition. They felt it and got in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
They were a different kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
You just had a movie come out about Chairman,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the kind of person that was telling you, I'm not going to die in a car accident. I'm not going to die in a plane crash.
Yep.
I know how I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And Fred Hampton died at 21.
Yes, sir.
He was going to be the next guy. He was different from Huey P. Newton and a lot of these people because he had the ability to organize everybody. He didn't care about your race.
Yep.
He didn't care about how you felt about him. He knew that it's a class situation.
Mm-hmm.
He became chairman of the Chicago branch of the Black Panthers at 19 years old.
Yep.
Do you remember what you were like at 19 years old?
Man, I couldn't have ran no organization of people. No.
A 19-year-old was so dangerous that the FBI had to assassinate him. He
Yeah.
died at 21 years old, which means he did all his most important stuff at 19, 20, 21. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it goes to show you the way that people of the 70s, revolutionary and people who didn't like their condition, thought.
Yeah.
And we can use a little bit of that
Yeah.
today.
Indeed.
Don't just get mad. Do something about it.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. On that note, of course, I knew Kai would come with some out of the clip and close us out, boy. But I appreciate you coming on as usual, my brother. Guys, I'll make sure that he's on, I mean, as many episodes as possible so that we can remain friends.
You know? All I ask is that you love your brother, man. Just
You know what I'm
love him,
saying?
man.
Nah, man, but I appreciate you, man. But again, it's another episode of How Did We Get Here? I'm your host, Jay Carter, and the man that is always heard and never seen,
Yo.
Skeens, and we will holler at y'all on the next one.